Hello, dear friends. Good afternoon. It's nice to see you all again. Are you able to hear us okay? Sister Dingham, could you say something to see if our friends can hear you?
Hello everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
So happy to see all the old faces. Is there anyone new today?
I'm new.
Hello, welcome.
I'm also new.
Thank you for joining us. We still have more friends coming in. I hope the weather is nice where you are right now because it's very beautiful here, right, Sister Dingham?
Yeah, it's so beautiful here. The flowers, the sunshine, the new leaves. Yeah, a lot of birds around. The other day I saw a bluebird. And I call my sister, sister, I saw the bluebird. And she's so surprised, and you see the bluebirds? Yeah. I said, this is my first time, but for her, it's normal.
Yeah, in Magnolia, we are very lucky to have yellow birds,
Red.
cardinal, bluebird, blackbird. We also have three turtles from the sisters pond that come out and enjoy the sunshine every single day. And the sisters look at them with amazement. I think it's a mother with two children. Mhm. As you know, I'm very bad at animals' names. I only know birds, red, yellow. And red is, I heard, is cardinal.
Oh, cardinal.
So maybe one day, if you are like a specialist in this area, you could give us the correct name of the birds. Yeah. And we start to call them by their true names and not just by their generic name.
Well, a bluebird is a bluebird. That's the correct name.
Oh, really? So if things are
Yes.
that easy, then that's great.
And the yellow bird is likely a goldfinch.
Goldfinch.
Mhm.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you.
And here in Maryland, we have millions of daffodils blooming. So they're so beautiful. They're everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere.
Yes, thank you. The daffodil season here is completed.
Oh, okay.
Now we have a dandelion, a lot of dandelion, and pollen, of course. Many sisters are like sneezing and having allergy. But as you know that today I'm feeling much better than last week. I don't need to have a tissue by my side. Last week there were moments I had to turn off my camera because tears would just keep on, falling and running nose. This week I am good. Thank you to impermanence, right? Yes. Who say impermanence is always sad. Impermanence is also very much
Yes.
needed.
Yes.
So perhaps we can start with singing some songs, Sister Dingia. Sister Dingia has had some allergy. Are you able to help with singing today?
I think so.
Okay, let's try. So we ask you to please mute yourself to avoid the echo. And I will share the song. Okay, if you could let us know what song you would like. You can just type in the number or say the number out loud. Okay, we have number 1, number 8, and 4, Mother Earth. 1, 8, Mother Earth, and 4. Okay, that's it in here.
Okay, song number 1, I have a right. I have a right. I am home in the here and in the now. I have a right. I am home in the here and in the now. I am solid. I am free. I am solid. I am free. In the ultimate I dwell. In the ultimate I dwell. I have a right. I am home in the here and in the now. I have a right. I am home in the here and in the now. I am solid. I am free. I am solid. I am free. In the ultimate I dwell. In the ultimate I dwell.
Number 2.
Number 2. I don't know how to sing it.
You know?
Can you help, please?
Sure. Please snap your finger. Mother Earth is a great big ship that we are sailing on, sailing on, sailing on through space and time, space and time. Touch the earth, feel your worth, awaken to this new rebirth. Know your heart and open up the divine, up the divine, up the divine. Yes, we all are on big ship of Mother Earth. So let us take good care of our Mother Earth with our compassion, our love. Number 4.
Number 4, happiness. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. No longer in a hurry. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries. Somewhere to go, something to do. But I don't need to hurry.
Okay, you know number 8?
Number 8, and when I rise. It's a call and response song. Then we will sing one line and then you repeat it. But then both of us will sing together. at the same time. That is
Oh.
easier.
You can sing first and I can sing after you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Let's try. And when I rise,
And when I rise,
let me rise
let me rise
like a bird,
like a bird,
joyfully.
joyfully.
And when I fall,
And when I fall,
let me fall
let me fall
like a leaf,
like a leaf,
gracefully,
gracefully,
without regret.
without regret.
And when I sit,
And when I sit,
let me sit
let me sit
like a mountain,
like a mountain,
solidly.
solidly.
And when I lay,
And when I lay,
let me lay
let me lay
like a lake,
like a lake,
calm and still,
calm and still,
reflecting on.
reflecting on.
And when I work,
And when I work,
let me work
let me work
like a bee,
like a bee,
lazily.
lazily.
And when I play,
And when I play,
let me play
let me play
like the rays
like the rays
of the sun,
of the sun,
rejoicingly.
rejoicingly.
I remember one time you add one more thing. And when I cry,
And when I cry,
let me cry
let me cry
like the baby,
like a baby,
wholeheartedly,
wholeheartedly.
relaxingly.
I don't think the babies are relaxed, but anyway, relaxingly. I don't think anybody is relaxed when they're crying. It takes a lot of practice to relax. Anyone here relax when you cry? Nobody, right? Yeah, we cry wholeheartedly. Oh, somebody say yes, after crying we feel relaxed. Yeah, that is-
Release,
and release
feel
too.
release, yeah.
That nobody can argue. Thank you, dear friends, dear sister. Now, Sister Đính will help us to do a guided meditation. I would like to introduce ourselves to you. Sitting next to me is Sister.
Hello, I'm Sister Đính Nghiêm. English translation is sister commitment.
How long have you been a nun, Sister?
About 13 years.
13 years.
Yes.
And what is one quality that your parents transmit to you that you really appreciate?
I think love.
Love.
Yeah.
My name is Sister Nghiêm and my pronouns are she and her. English translation is Sister True Pearl. And a quality that my parents transmit to me that I really appreciate is that I'm a very easy sleeper. Unlike my other blood sister, she has difficulty sleeping. Yeah, that's something that I really appreciate. Thank you, Mom and Dad. So now Sister Đính will start with a guided meditation.
Dear sister, dear friends, let's just come back to our breathing. Sit upright. our head and our spine on the same line. And relax shoulders. Relax our hands. You can put your hands on your laps. You can either close your eyes or let it open. But for me, close my eyes is easier to be aware of the breathing. And you can offer yourself a half smile in order to relax your face, but also to be aware that you are alive. It's so wonderful to be alive. During the session of sitting, excuse. If you see that there are some thoughts arise in your mind, it's okay. Just smile with it and come back to your breathing. I will start with 3 sounds of the bell. Listen, listen. This wonderful sound of the bell brings me back to my true home. Breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. Breathing in, my breath grows deep. Breathing out, my breath goes slowly. Deep, slow. Breathing in, I feel calm. Breathing out, I feel ease, calm, ease. Breathing in, I smile. Breathing out, I release. Smile, release. Dwelling in the present moment, I breathe in. Knowing this is a wonderful moment, I breathe out. Present moment, wonderful moment. Aware of my mental health, I breathe in. Smiling to my stage of mental health, I breathe out. Aware of mental health, smiling. Seeing poisons such as anger, jealousy, and suspicion in my consciousness, I breathe in. Knowing these poisons are harming me and those around me, I breathe out. Poisons in consciousness, harmful to self and others. See in myself watering these poisons seeds and allowing them to be watered every day. I breathe in, knowing that to continue to live like this is to add to suffering every day. I breathe out, poisons watered every day, adding suffering every day. See in myself determined not to water disease anymore. I breathe in, determined to do things like this. Breathing, smiling, walking mindfully, and no longer to do things like judging, blaming, comparing, in order to waken and transform the poisons. I breathe out, determined to transform, taking action to transform. Breathing in. I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out. I know that I'm breathing out. In, out. Dear friends, now you are welcome to open your eyes and smile to everyone. And then you can massage your head. Your face. Your shoulders. Your hands. How do you feel now? Is it good? Yeah, please take some water if you want. And then we would like to invite Sister Bùi Nghiêm to start the Dhamma talk.
Good afternoon, dear respected Thầy, dear Sister Đính, Nghiêm, dear beloved friends. Today is March 30th in the year 2023. We are almost 1/4 of the year 2023 already. And I hope that you all are doing well. And if at moments in our life we are not doing well, and I hope that you know how to take care of yourself and surrounded yourself with people as well as environment that helps you to have more peace and serenity in your daily life. Today is the last Dharma talk on the 4 nutriments. May I ask how many of you have attended the sessions that I spoke on the other 3 nutriments, like fully? Could you raise your hand? Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Could you just share with us one sentence that you remember from my sharing and how you implement that into your daily life? Those of you who raise your hand, maybe we can just have 2 or 3 volunteers. Just short and sweet. Anything that you remember? Yes, Francois.
Good afternoon, dear friends. Francois. Being careful of consumption of media and actually paring down quite a bit of it.
And any positive changes you've seen?
Oh, very much so. Far less, I guess the word frazzled with the way things are in our, especially, well, not just here in the US, as we see around the world, feels far less frenetic by not following it.
Thank you, Francois, for your inspiration and your practice. Anyone else? Yes, Christina.
Wasn't here for all of them, but I remember just the other day I was remembering when you spoke of, when you had the heartbreak earlier in your life and you would listen to the sad song and listen to the sad song. And it really has made me think, kind of like what Francois said, about what are the lyrics that I'm listening to? Because I love to listen to music, but are the lyrics nourishing me or not? So that's one thing that I really got out of it. Thank you.
Yeah. I know for sure if you listen to Plumlish songs, they're all good.
Yes. There's a recording. I can't remember his last name, but his first name is Joe, and it's a man playing the guitar, and he sings the songs. It's really
Joe
nice.
Riley is his name.
Okay.
Yes. And he will be at Deer Park Monastery for the special night Rhythm of Music. It's a fundraising event to build a monk's residence at Deer Park Monastery. So if you're somewhere near Deer Park, please come and listen to Joe Riley, a wonderful, talented songwriter. Thank you, Christina. Yes, Benjamin.
Thank you. For the one sentence, I would say, you are what you eat, and not only your physical part, but what you surround yourself with, what you have in very intimate spaces in your life. Do you have a shrine? What else do you do? Do you have pets? Do you love them? And controlling that diet is so critical to our well-being. It's hard to fully explain, but it is so crucial. Thank you.
Thank you, Benjamin. All these Dharma talks, all this sharing on food, on nutriments, they are invitation for us to look at our diet of our nutriment differently. So if you are educators, healthcare professionals, parents, caregivers, or someone who loves yourself, please look at your diet, the food that we consume, the nutriments that we ingest differently. Because it's not only that piece of tofu or that piece of chicken that we eat, it is also the conversations that we have. The conversation we have in the meditation space is a completely different conversation than the conversation we have in the bar. Or we can make the conversation in the meditation space peaceful wherever we go, or that has content, that has meaning, even if we are in the bar, even in the parking lot, right? It doesn't have to be in a meditation space where there are candles, flowers. It can be somewhere in the park, in the sun, in a cafe, coffee shop. And also, what do we want to do with our life? That deep aspiration, that will. Do we want to protect children from gun violence? If so, what are we doing? Do we want to help teenagers to have better mental health? If that is our aspiration, then please get yourself in good trouble, like John Lewis say. Do we want to help the elderly to feel less lonely? Then please call somebody today to talk to them. Don't just have this deep wish only. Put them into action. Because that deep wish doesn't have much impact yet unless we apply them into our daily life. And a life is more colorful, like a rainbow that somebody has on the screen. Life has more richness when we have aspiration, volition, when we choose wisely what we consume, because like our friend share, we are what we eat. So if you're a nutritionist, a dietitian, talk about food differently. We are so focused on vegetables and meat. And as these days, you know that that's not the only food we consume. We can be a vegetarian and yet we can have a lot of poison in our body and our mind because of the other food, unwholesome food that we ingest through social media, television show, movies, books. All this anger, this wish of wanting to revenge, of wanting to punish. And all these food, they are interrelated. If we are able to be mindful of a nutriment that we are consuming, then at the same time, the other three nutriments are also on the direction of mindfulness and of peace. For our friends who wish to know more about the four nutriments as well as the heart of the Buddha's teachings, the basic teachings of the Buddha, the great book written by our teacher that I highly recommend you to read is called The Heart of the Buddha's Teachings. The Heart of the Buddha's Teachings. And if you want to understand more about the mind, interested in learning how the mind works, thinks in Buddhist aspect. You could read the book written by our teacher, Understanding a Mind. Yes. It's a more advanced book to read, but I think once you know some basic of the mind, of the seeds of what we are consuming every day, of our own thoughts, of our own body, of our own feelings, then this book is not too hard to understand. And our teacher, he shares stories as well as the way of his explanation is very easy to understand. And even if you don't understand, it's also okay. I mean, how many of us understand our mind after we read a book? One book is not enough, just like one Buddha is not enough. And it is not only just through reading book that we understand our mind. It is through our interaction with others, observing our own body, our own feelings, our own mental formations, our own thoughts, that we are able to understand our mind more. Reading a book is like a supplement, taking a vitamin. It's a condition to help us to have better understanding. Because we know that for us to fully understand something, we need many supporting causes and conditions. So reading books, listening to Dharma talks, they are the supporting causes and conditions. So just a quick recap. For those of you who are here for the first time or just for second time, there are 4 nutriments that affect our well-being, our mental health, our physical health, our emotional health, our spiritual health. And this teaching was given by the Buddha 2,600 years ago. Back then, I don't think there was any researcher yet. There was no artificial intelligence. You cannot ask ChatGPT. If you ask ChatGPT, what are the 4 nutriments? I wonder what it would say. But the Buddha, because of his awakened nature, his enlightenment, his ability to observe his own mind, his own body, and of course the suffering around him, he noticed that there were 4 nutriments. The first one is the edible food, the food that we ingest through our mouth. The second one is sense impressions. Anything that enters our eyes, our ears, our nose, right? They are food. Imagine if you read something that is not correct. Sooner or later, you will start to believe that is the truth. And once you believe that is the truth, it is very difficult for you to change your view on that. This is how detrimental it can be what we consume with our eyes. And then volition, our intention, that will, that deep aspiration, what we want to do with our life, what we want to offer, how we want to help people, or how we want to hurt people. And the 4th nutriment is consciousness. In the guided meditation, Sister Đính shared with us briefly, but enough for us to understand our consciousness a little bit. To tell you the truth, I'm able to understand the other 3 nutriments very easily, the fourth one is a bit difficult. So I hope that my sharing today will be easy for you to understand, because it is something that I am also learning. So when we talk about consciousness, we can be aware that there are two consciousness. One is the individual consciousness. The other is the collective consciousness. Individual consciousness is your own consciousness. Collective consciousness is a consciousness of who you are with, the environment that you are in. The word consciousness is quite broad, isn't it? If there's a word that I can replace it with to make it easier for you and I to connect better, to have better understanding, what word would you choose? Any recommendation? You could tap in the chat box. If I talk about consciousness to teenagers, how are they going to understand? It's a word that they don't use, right? How many teenagers use the word consciousness? So it's a word that I don't often use either. Sometimes our teachers say seeds of consciousness. It's still consciousness. That's the word consciousness in it. Heart and mind. Awareness. Mind. Yeah. Because there are 8 consciousness. Yes, and I don't want to go through all 8. It's just going to cause more confusion. Again, if you want to learn more about consciousness, please read the book Understanding of Mind. Yeah. Today, I want to talk about the stored consciousness, because this is the base, this is the foundation, and this is how the mind works. There must be a reason why our teacher named the book Understanding of Mind instead of Understanding of Consciousness. So I'm just going to use the word stored consciousness and mind, okay, to make it easier for us to understand. So for us to be who we are today, we are affected greatly by our own consciousness, by our own mind, and the mind and consciousness of the people that we have interacted, of our parents, our family, our teachers, our friends. And that's something that we cannot deny. So one thing that can be comforting to us is that if we know that inside of us, that seed of anger, jealousy, despair are strong, we know that we are not solely responsible for it. Please remember that. Don't blame all the negativity you have in your life on yourself only. We are never solely responsible for what is happening in our life. We are not the only condition that make it who we are. However, we are the last condition. I shared this a few times. We are not the only condition, but we can be the last condition. An example that I often give is, let's say you have a plate of food in front of you. So many conditions come together. So many consciousness and minds come together for that plate of food to be there. Now you are the last condition to make sure that the moment that you eat your food is joyful, peaceful, or sad. Right? So in the individual consciousness, there is a collective consciousness. In a collective consciousness, there is individual consciousness. whether you are, despite your profession, despite being a monastic or a lay friend, our consciousness is the same, wholesome as well as unwholesome. There are wholesome seeds that we all have, and there are unwholesome seeds that we all have. The only difference is your wholesome seed last longer, stay longer in your consciousness, and do you implement it more in your daily life? Or does it tend to stay very short? It doesn't have that consistency. For example, if you, let's say you and I, we have the seed of patient, but does your patient last 3 hours or only 10 minutes? See, that's the only difference. We all have patience. And do we tend to be more patient to our friends, or do we tend to be more patient with ourselves? That's another difference. Or violence. Before, when you were angry, you would throw something. Now, if you're angry, you don't throw anything, you do walking meditation. That's the difference. It doesn't mean that over the years of practice, that seed of anger is no longer inside. It is still there. It's just now you respond to it differently. Before, when you were angry at your family or a colleague, you would write a very mean email. But now, instead of writing a mean email, you don't start with that. You would go and do some exercise. Take care of yourself first. Watch a inspirational movie. Meditate when you feel the time is right to look into that and take care of your emotion. And many misunderstanding that people have is that once you practice meditation and mindfulness for some time, the negative seeds in you are no longer there. That is not true. They are still there, just they are sleeping. And when somebody comes and water it or push that button is a word that we say, it will come up. Like right now, Sister Đính, Nghiêm and I are very peaceful, right? But imagine if suddenly my niece come in and say, the house is on fire, then it's like my peace is gone, for example. Again, causes and conditions need to come together and something will manifest. So consciousness, individual and collective, wholesome and unwholesome. Wholesome here means the wholesome seeds and the unwholesome seeds. And we look at our consciousness like, our teacher often say, like a basement, right? We put many things in there, store consciousness. We put other things that we don't need in our basement. And when we need them, we bring them to the living room. So the living room is the mind consciousness, is the mind. Or we can see the stored consciousness as like the earth. Maybe this example is better. As like the earth. You plant many seeds into the earth. Dandelion, daffodils, cauliflower, broccoli. And you plant 100 seeds of spinach. If you are lucky, then you will have 100 spinach plants come up. But that depends on the weather. That depends on the sunlight. That depends on how much care we put into it. And even if we put a lot of care into it, but then suddenly there was a frost, right? And then all the spinach plant wither and die. So we know that there are things that are within our capacity, and there are things that are just not within our capacity. So in us we have seed of love, of peace, of forgiveness, of determination. We also have seed of sadness, of laziness. Who here have seed of laziness? Yes, we all do. A seed of anger. And the practice is to look deeply into them. What is it? How come that seed of love in us is very strong? Yeah. Our parents transmit it to us because we are surrounded by people who have loving kindness. Ever since we were very young, our parents or our family members or even our teachers taught us to choose our friends wisely. So the fourth nutriment is like that, is to choose our friends wisely. That's a way to remember the fourth nutriment, the consciousness. Because whatever our friends think, sooner or later we will think like them. We will be affected, even when we are not aware of it. It is nowadays that it's so easy for us to find people with the same mindset that we are, right? It is so easy. With online, you can just find. If we want to practice meditation, we can find groups of meditation online. Like this. If we want to buy illegal drugs, we can. It's so easy. And it's so easy, that is why it is so difficult for some people to transform their consciousness. How can you transform your consciousness or your habit when accessibility for these detrimental nutriments are all over the place? Right? We look at the current shooting in Nashville, where 6 people died, 3 children, 3 adults. And it's heartbreaking that it happens so common these days. And the number one cause of death for young children these days is gun violence. What does that tell us about the consciousness? And so if we are surrounded by people who enjoy violence, find great pleasure in harming others, then sooner or later we will act out. I think we are so fortunate to know of the practice and to take care of our own thoughts and to be aware of the sensitivities. Perhaps there were jokes that in the past we found them funny, but now they are no longer funny. They are offensive. The consciousness of people have evolved over the last 25 years. And when we had the wake-up retreat here last week, One friend shared with me that the comedy shows that took place in the 90s, young people these days find them very offensive. I don't have time to watch comedies these days. I mean, I grew up watching Friends and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Smallville. Those were the shows that I watched when I was young. But now I don't think I have time to go back and watch Friends or Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or other comedy shows and look for offensive jokes. But I do know now that if I hear some jokes and I find them offensive, I would not laugh. I would not smile. Even if around me there are people laughing and smiling, but I will not add to that. I will come back and take care of my emotions and my feelings. There are things that we consider as very innocent, but to us it's innocent. However, if we know that this joke is putting down a group of people, of community, then it's not as innocent as we think. So we ask ourselves, what seed are we watering in our consciousness every day? If we observe our own mind, do you agree that the thinking that you have every day are almost the same? Right? 95%, they are the same like yesterday. We probably think about the same people, the same issues that we care about. And we're trying to find ways to solve a conflict. We think about it. And so if we know that there are unwholesome thoughts, and we think about them often during the day, one day after another, there are ways for us to take care of them, to embrace them and not to nourish them. For example, we can ask ourselves, okay, I've been thinking about this thought for so many times. What benefit have I received? Have they increased my joy? And any truths come out of that? And I can think a different thought. I can think differently. Perhaps some of us sitting here have experienced abuse or undergone trauma in the past. And it is through our lifestyle that we are determined to change. The environment, the books, what we consume, and of course through our own good work, with our own determination and supportive family and friends, that we are able to transform that trauma or take better care of the trauma, and that pain from being abused at a young age is less severe. And perhaps there were moments where we tend to think about that, ruminate that too much. We forget to be in the present moment. And we tend to ruminate on that past, and the pain is even more and more. So if we think about that pain, we do have the right to think about what happened to us. But in the past, the more that we think about it, the more pain that we had, the more despair that we fall into. So now, is there a way that we can think about it, but we don't fall into despair as much? And this is possible when we know that now I know how to take better care of myself. Now I can learn to embrace that pain as if a friend comes to me and express and share their suffering. Or now I can just say silently to myself, my pain, my abuse, my trauma, I'm here for you. Shall we go and take a walk together? Let's invite mindfulness, peace, to be with the abuse, to be with the trauma, and not just to invite the sadness and the despair. Have you invited your sadness or your trauma to enjoy a walk, a mindful walking meditation with you? Or sing lullaby songs to them? If you haven't, please try it. I think the way that we respond to it will be somewhat different. Or say, my trauma, would you like to drink a cup of orange juice with me? Before, we wanted to drink alcohol or other narcotic drugs when that great pain comes up. And this is something that we do often during the day so that our consciousness is wiring differently. We are creating new neural pathway. And don't wait until when that feeling of deep sadness come up to invite yourself to do it. It might be too late. Just like you cannot start to dig a well when you're so thirsty. Right? You cannot extinguish like a big fire when you know that a small fire or just a glimpse of fire is coming up. We have to find a way to take care of it. So this is a daily practice to take care of our trauma, of our past wounds when we are healthy and strong, and not only to take care of it when we are weak, when we have so much suffering in our life. It might not work. And you may ask yourself, I have been ruminating or chewing the past, this scenario, so many years in my life. How has that helped me? Can I ruminate differently now? Instead of sitting there and ruminating it for 30 minutes, maybe now I can just ruminate for 15 minutes. And then I will get up, go for a walk, clean my house. And there were some sisters that shared with me whenever she had anger in the past, she would go outside and chop wood. I think we should make good use of our anger. If when we are angry and we do something for the benefit of others, for the benefit of ourselves, please do it. It's not like you just sit there in meditation when you're angry. No, that might not work. So life is an experiment. Our consciousness is an experiment. We try different things at a different time. There is no like guidelines, strict guidelines that you have to do this, you have to do that. No, you try. For some people, walking will help. Others, sitting or sharing, right? At that moment, listen to what our consciousness needs. And so we take care of our consciousness through the practice of mindfulness. Perhaps in the past we enjoy going to parties. We found joy in it. It's great to be able to socialize with many people with all this noise around, music playing nonstop. We found happiness in it. But now that might not be the case for us anymore. We want something that is more depth. The conversation we have, we want content that is heartfelt, that stays with us. And after an event, we don't feel this void, this emptiness, but we feel content. And so instead of going to so many parties these days, we only go to certain parties, for example. This is a type of party. Who say it's not? Anytime people gather, it's a party, right? A retreat is a mindful party. What is it that makes us remember the event that we go to, the conversation that we have with people? See, our consciousness has changed. I was talking to a couple and they share that, you know, these days they like to hang out with people who have a spiritual practice. I'm also in a spiritual community, and I also have to choose my friends wisely too. I want to be surrounded by people who have who don't have to be exactly like me. I think that would be too boring. But have like an aspiration of wanting to help people. Yes, they can like animation, and I like documentary. It's okay. But these days, I don't find so much joy in sitting for like an hour and talking about this and that they are not connected to one another, just to let time passes by. In the past, I liked that, but now I think I'm getting old. That is no longer for me. And I see that I don't have so much free time. So whenever I am with somebody, I want our conversation to have content, to have meaning. And that's what nourishes me. Even on the table, we could just have a simple cookie, right? Or no cookie at all, even no tea is okay, water is fine. Without flowers is okay too. But I'm someone who likes to have intimate conversation, like real talk. And I know that there are people who have the same source of joy like I do. And so I would hang out with people like that. And there are people who find that I'm too serious, that I'm not flexible enough, that okay, whatever comes, comes. Then I will not be with them as much because I don't want them to feel that pressure to always have deep conversation with Sister Nghiêm, for example. You see, so our consciousness change. I want my consciousness in a certain way, or else I can easily fall into sadness or watering negative seeds in myself and in others. When I take care of my consciousness, I am also taking care of the collective consciousness of others and contribute and transform. Contribute what we have that is beautiful. There are times we just want to hide our own beauty. Yeah. But please, no need to hide your own beauty. Share it. Yes, it can be tiring because when you look around, you don't see others sharing their beauty. Anyone here have that experience? Am I the only one? But it doesn't matter that I often think of the moon, for example. The moon is always beautiful, especially when it's full moon night. It is there whether people look at it or not. It is still there. If we enjoy the moon, that's great for us. If you don't enjoy the moon doesn't get sad. Yeah, when are we able to have a consciousness like the moon? Very carefree, so much freedom. I think it takes a long time. But it's an aspiration. Just water it. Show our own beauty, because there's a lot of suffering in the world already. And we need more kindness. And so please choose a community that nourishes you. Be with people that makes you happy. Because whether we like it or not, we will be surrounded by people we find it difficult to have peace and difficult to get along. So when we have a choice to choose who we'll be with, please choose to be with the people that make us happy, that makes us peaceful. That's something that we can choose. Thank you for listening, dear friends. It is 5:30 here, so I will end my sharing and let us listen to 3 sounds of the bell. Oh, before we end, can I just share one last sweet story? Again, I like to have a meaningful conversation. So last week we had a family, and there was a younger 4-year-old. I had an interview with her, 8 minutes interview. I was holding my iPad and she was standing in front of me. And I asked her, do you have any power? And she said, yes, I have power. And I asked her, what is your power? She said, my heart. And she said, I like being here. I said, why you like being here? Well, I like the food, of course. Yeah. And now I can close the door quietly, because just 10 minutes before that, I asked her to open the door and close quietly, but unfortunately she was so short and there was something wrong with the doorknob, so she couldn't open it. And so I opened it for her and she closed it. And I shared with her, please close it in a way where I don't hear the noise. And she was very mindful. So she did that a few times. And when her parents arrived, she said, I closed the door quietly. And she would say so many kind things that blew me out of the blue. And I asked her, who taught you this? And she said, my heart and my brain. Dear friends, if next time you are with the children, besides ask them, have you eaten yet? Please ask them meaningful questions. Have like deep conversation with them. Sometimes we tend to underestimate children and teenagers. You will be amazed by what they say, and they don't think ahead like we do. There's one time I had a conversation with my nieces before they went to sleep. I wanted them to have some quiet time, so I invited them to the auto room or the breathing room. I invited them to sit down and I asked them, what is it that you don't have right now that makes you happy? At first, the 7-year-old was quite puzzled. She didn't understand the question. And she was like, what? Because oftentimes we only ask them, what is it that you have right now that makes you happy? But we don't ask them, what is it that you don't have right now that makes you happy? So her sister had to repeat it and translate it for her the question. And she looked at her finger and she said, oh, my finger doesn't have the bacteria like it used to have. Because I remember when I was home a few months ago, it was heartbreaking to look at her index finger. Yeah, it's like you jam your finger in the door. That's how it looked like. And now she noticed that she doesn't have it anymore. And it makes her happy. And I asked her, so, and what do you have right now that makes you happy? And she said, I'm sitting here next to you. So please ask children questions that you know what a good season them and what a good season them. Because we don't know what will happen. No? We don't know if they make it home to school. So if there's anything that we can do to what a good season them, please do. Thank you.